Border Patrol agents to remove razor wire installed by Texas along the U.S.-Mexico border.
That person has to undergo rigorous background checks and apply from outside the United States.
It is a much higher number. The Biden administration has replaced detain and deport with catch and release.
The right to remove dozens of miles of razor wire put up by the state of Texas.
In a 5-4 vote Monday, the justices overturned a lower court ruling preventing officials from taking it down.
The Take Our Border Back convoy says it'll be calling on the government to address the crisis at the border.
Texas governor challenges authorities. All right, buckle up. Governor Greg Abbott in Texas is throwing down the gauntlet, taking on the big guns in Washington over border security. Abbott, with his cowboy hat firmly in place, is standing tall and saying Texas has a right to defend itself, y'all. So what's the ruckus about? Abbott's got his boots on the ground, watching the border like a hawk, and he's not impressed with the federal government's efforts, or in his eyes, the lack thereof. He's not mincing words. He's straight up saying Uncle Sam isn't pulling its weight in keeping the Lone Star State safe. Now, why does Abbott think he needs to be the Lone Star Ranger of Texas? Well, he's got this beef that the feds are slacking on securing the border. He's shouting from the rooftops, "Hey, we've got a right to self-defense." It's like a showdown in an old Western movie, but instead of dueling pistols, it's all about razor wire and border patrols.
Border Patrol agents to remove razor wire installed by Texas along the U.S.-Mexico border.
Korean War veterans of the U.S. have been booted from nursing homes that were sold to house migrants.
And they rejected my recent request for an additional $3.5 billion to secure the border.
Immigration laws already that exist in the United States of America that are contained in the letter that are provided to the president today.
It is a much higher number. The Biden administration has replaced detain and deport with catch and release.
Abbott's basically pointing fingers at the federal government, saying they're not doing enough to corral the chaos at the border. He's not buying into the idea that everything's peachy keen. Nope, not in Texas. According to Abbott, it's not just about sending a few Border Patrol agents and calling it a day. He's talking about a full-on, boots-on-the-ground operation to shut down any shenanigans happening on Texas soil. You can almost hear Abbott saying, "Look, we love our country, but if the feds ain't stepping up to the plate, Texas will take matters into its own hands." It's like a Texan rendition of Don't Mess with Texas, but instead of littering, it's about securing the border. In Abbott's world, it's not just about politics, it's about protecting his turf. He's calling out what he sees as a lack of action, and he's not afraid to stand tall and declare Texas is going to do what Texas needs to do. It's a bit like a Texan two-step with Abbott leading the charge. So there you have it. Governor Abbott is throwing down the cowboy hat, rolling up his sleeves, and challenging the federal authorities to step up their game. In his book, it's all about Texas defending its own, and he's not about to back down. It's a Texas-sized challenge to the big shots in Washington, and Abbott's making sure they hear it loud and clear. Texas ain't messing around when it comes to its borders. SC rules in favor of Biden. Well, hot off the legal press, the Supreme Court has spoken, and it's singing President Biden's tune in the Texas border dispute. Grab your popcorn, folks, because this legal showdown just got a verdict. Texas, with its cowboy boots and all, decides to throw some razor wire along the Rio Grande to beef up its border security. But hold your horses. The federal government, led by President Biden, ain't too keen on that idea. Cue the legal wrangling and arguments hotter than a Texas summer day. And guess what? The Supreme Court, donned in their judicial robes, stepped into the ring. After some intense legal jousting, the gavel came down, and it's a win for Biden. The justices basically gave a nod to Uncle Sam, saying, "You've got more say in this border security hoedown." Now, what does this mean? Well, it's like the Supreme Court handed Biden a backstage pass to the border security concert. They said, "Hey, federal government, you can cut and remove that razor wire. It's your call." It's a bit like giving the keys to the castle to the folks in Washington.
The right to remove dozens of miles of razor wire put up by the state of Texas.
Among those who've been apprehended on the southern border but between ports of entry, more than 300 individuals.
In a 5-4 vote Monday, the justices overturned a lower court ruling preventing officials from taking it down.
Trying to leave Cuba, Nicaragua, or Haiti, have agreed to begin a journey to America.
We are adding more razor wire as we speak right now to make sure that we are doing even more.
Texas to New York, waves of illegal immigrants are now overwhelming our communities.
So Biden's got a bit more leeway in deciding how to deal with that razor wire situation. It's like the court turned up the volume on the federal government's authority in border matters. Flexibility is the name of the game now, and Biden's got a little more room to dance. But hold your horses, Texas. This ain't the end of the rodeo. Despite the court's ruling, Governor Abbott and his crew are still slinging more razor wire, showing they're not about to back down. It's a classic case of state versus federal, and the showdown continues. In the grand legal drama of the Texas border dispute, the Supreme Court just dropped a plot twist favoring President Biden. So grab your legal dictionary and saddle up, folks. This ain't the last chapter in the Lone Star State's border saga. Razor wire battle. Hold on to your hats, folks. The Lone Star State is turning the page in the razor wire battle, and it's not following the script the Supreme Court handed down. The Texas National Guard, in a move that could make even the toughest cowboy raise an eyebrow, is defying the court's decision and doubling down on razor wire installation in Eagle Pass. Let's set the scene. The Supreme Court, after some legal square dance, said, "Hey, federal government, you've got the reins on the razor wire. But hold your horses." The Texas National Guard seems to be saying, "Not so fast." Despite the court laying down the law, they're out there slinging more razor wire like it's going out of style. It's a bold move, a bit like a Texan standoff between state and federal authorities. The Texas National Guard is practically telling the court, "We'll handle our business the Texan way." You can almost hear the jangle of spurs in the background as they continue to fortify that border. Now, this isn't just a border security beef, it's turning into a full-fledged political showdown. Picture it: President Biden and Governor Abbott locked in a stare-down over the razor wire. The tension is thicker than a Texas barbecue sauce, and neither side seems ready to back down. It's like a game of political poker, and Texas just tossed in another ship. Despite the Supreme Court's ruling, the Lone Star State is standing firm, adding more razor wire to the mix. It's a move that's sure to keep the political commentators yapping and the legal eagles scratching their heads. So here we are, in the midst of a razor wire battle that's not just about physical barriers, but is now a symbol of the broader clash between state and federal powers. The Texas National Guard, with a steely resolve, is saying, "We've got our own playbook, thank you very much." As the razor wire saga continues, one thing's for sure: the Lone Star State isn't backing down, and the tension between Texas and the feds is reaching a boiling point. So grab your popcorn, folks. This political rodeo is far from over. Governor Abbott accuses Biden. Well, hold on to your hats, y'all, because Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is pointing fingers and making some serious accusations in the political arena. Abbott's not mincing words. He's straight up saying that President Biden is the greatest financial benefactor for Mexican drug cartels. Yeah, you heard it right. And it's causing more waves than a Texas-sized storm.
One of the towns is near Eagle Pass, Texas, where the influx of migrants has been nonstop over the past couple of months.
Judges to make the judgments on the spot, a new detection equipment to stop fentanyl from coming into the country.
I think they said they're making $3.5 million a day trafficking human beings into the country.
That person has to undergo rigorous background checks and apply from outside the United States.
It's like a political showdown in the Wild West, where accusations are flying faster than bullets. Abbott's essentially saying that by being lax on immigration, Biden is indirectly funding the bad guys south of the border. It's a heavy charge, and the governor's not holding back. Now, you might be thinking, wait, what's the connection between immigration policies and drug cartels? Well, in Abbott's view, the more lenient the policies, the more chaos at the border. And where there's chaos, the cartels thrive. It's like a domino effect, and Abbott's not afraid to say, "Biden, you're pushing those dominoes." This accusation is turning up the heat in the already simmering Texas versus Biden saga. It's not just about border security anymore. It's about who's indirectly supporting the not-so-friendly neighbors with questionable business practices. Whether you're sipping sweet tea or munching on barbecue, this political drama in Texas is one for the books. Abbott's thrown down the gauntlet, and Biden's in the hot seat, facing accusations that go beyond just politics. So saddle up, folks! The Lone Star State is making some noise, and the echoes are reaching far beyond its borders. Immigration system under scrutiny. Well, buckle up, because the immigration system is under the spotlight, and it's shining brighter than a Texas sun in mid-July. It's like the whole nation's gathered around, staring at the ongoing border crisis and saying, "All right, Washington, we need some answers." The border and immigration issues have taken center stage in America, like the main act at a country music concert. It's not just a Texas problem, it's a national concern, and everyone's got their eyes on the Biden administration to see how they're handling this hot mess. You've got folks left and right, from New York to California, raising their eyebrows and saying, "Hey, what's going on down there?" The border crisis is like the elephant in the room, and no one's ignoring it. It's become the talk of the town, the buzz on every street corner.
Texas border town of Eagle Pass. This is at the center of this legal fight between the Biden administration.
And to truly understand what's happening there, it's important to step back and see the bigger picture here.
They're here to both tour the border, to tour what we're doing with the buoys in the border, as well as
what Texas is doing, as has been seen by video after video after video.
As the president and his team continue working to deliver a historic bipartisan agreement on the border,
critics are pointing fingers, saying the administration needs to step up and take charge. It's like a game of political hot potato, and no one wants to be left holding it. So, as the sun sets over the Rio Grande, the nation is watching, waiting, and wondering what's next for the immigration system. It's not just a political tussle, it's about finding real solutions to a problem that's affecting communities and lives. Grab your hat and join the crowd, because the immigration system is on everyone's lips, and the discussion is getting louder by the minute. Will there be a resolution, or are we in for more twists and turns in this border crisis saga? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, the spotlight on immigration isn't dimming anytime soon. White House seeks funding. Well, gather round, folks, because the White House is knocking on Congress's door, hat in hand, asking for a little extra cash to beef up that southern border security. It's like a Texan barbecue, where they're saying, "We need more funds on the grill to handle this border business." The Biden administration is pointing at the southern border and going, "We've got challenges, y'all. We need some serious greenbacks to sort this out." They're not just asking for spare change, they're calling on Congress to open up those wallets and make it rain for border security. It's like a plea from the White House. Help us help you secure that border. They're saying, look, we want to do more, but we need the moolah to make it happen. It's not just about talking the talk, it's about walking the walk, and that walk requires some cold hard cash. Now you might be wondering, what kind of challenges are we talking about here? Well, it's a mixed bag. There's a surge in migrants, the razor wire showdown in Texas, and a general sense of chaos that needs some serious TLC. And the Biden administration is making it clear, we're ready to tackle this, but we need the financial firepower to do it right. So imagine the White House as the captain of a ship, steering through stormy waters, and they're saying, "Hey, Congress, we need a sturdier vessel to navigate these challenges." They're not just playing a fiddle, they're composing a symphony of reasons why the border needs that funding boost. But of course, it's not all smooth sailing. Congress, with its own set of priorities and debates, has to decide whether to greenlight the funds. It's like a political poker game, and the stakes are high. So there you have it. The White House is on a funding mission, and the southern border is at the heart of it. Bipartisan negotiations on bill. Well, 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 would you look at that? Politicians from both sides of the aisle are rolling up their sleeves and getting down to business. They're sitting around the negotiation table, hashing out a bill that's like a political potluck, a little something for everyone. What's on the menu? Border security and a side dash of increased migrant allowances. So here's the lowdown. Lawmakers are saying, enough of the bickering, let's find some common ground. They're hammering out the details of a bill that not only pours significant funds into beefing up border security, but also cranks up the dial on the number of migrants allowed to cross legally. It's a bit like a political seesaw, trying to balance the needs for a secure border with a humane approach to immigration. They're not just throwing money at the problem, they're looking for a comprehensive solution that addresses the concerns on both sides of the aisle.
More than 700,000 illegals have been welcomed into our country illegally.
We are going to make it impossible to enter Texas illegally.
People come to America for a whole lot of different reasons, to seek new opportunity.
The Take Our Border Back convoy says it'll be calling on the government to address the crisis at the border.
Democrats and Republicans are sitting around, maybe with some cowboy coffee, saying, what can we agree on here? The proposed bill is like a compromise cocktail, mixing elements that might just get both parties to say, cheers, we've got a deal. Now you might be scratching your head thinking, how on earth are they going to find common ground on this? Well, that's the million-dollar question. It's like a dance, and the lawmakers are trying to find the right steps to make this bipartisan bill a reality. But of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Some Republicans might be side-eyeing that increased migrant allowance, thinking it's a bit too much, while Democrats might be wondering if the border security funds are truly enough. It's the delicate art of compromise, and in the world of politics, that's like trying to wrangle a bunch of wild horses. So as the negotiations heat up and the bill takes shape, we're all waiting to see if this bipartisan effort will be the recipe for success, or if it'll end up as just another political potluck with no clear winner. Stay tuned, folks. The Capitol Hill kitchen is cooking up something, and we're all on the edge of our seats. Texas's right of self-defense. Governor Greg Abbott is pulling out the big guns, waving the Texas flag and shouting, "We've got a right to defend ourselves." In a move that's shaking up the Lone Star State, Abbott is invoking Article 1, Section 10, claiming Texas's right of self-defense. So here's the rundown. Abbott's pointing at the federal government and saying, you're dropping the ball on immigration, and we're not sitting around waiting for a touchdown. We're stepping up and we're doing it Texas style. This isn't just political jargon. It's like Abbott is throwing down a legal gauntlet. Article 1, Section 10 is like Texas's trump card, saying, if the feds don't hold up their end of the bargain, we've got the right to defend ourselves. It's like a Texan saying, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Abbott's not mincing words. He's arguing that Texas is taking matters into its own hands because the federal government isn't doing its job when it comes to enforcing immigration laws. It's like a Texan two-step, and Abbott's leading the dance, saying, we're securing the border because someone's got to do it. Now you might be wondering, what's the beef between Texas and the feds? Well, according to Abbott, the federal government, especially under President Biden, is dropping the ball on immigration. It's like a game of hot potato, and the Lone Star State is saying, enough is enough, we're handling this ourselves.
Federal help and coordination with Texas over the growing number of asylum seekers arriving in their cities.
Hundreds of thousands of children and adults are being poisoned and losing their lives.
Texas has the constitutional authority to do exactly what we're doing.
Cracking down on illegal immigration, strengthening legal immigration, and protecting dreamers so people don't have to wait years to get their claims adjudicated, which they have a right to make a claim legally.
So imagine Abbott with his cowboy hat firmly in place, pointing at the southern border and saying, Texas is taking charge. It's not just a political move, it's a statement, a declaration that when the federal government falters, Texas will rise. As the legal showdown unfolds, Abbott is asserting Texas's right of self-defense with a confidence that's as big as the Texas sky. Will this move bring about change, or will it be another chapter in the ongoing saga of state versus federal powers? Only time we'll tell. But one thing's for sure. Texas ain't backing down, and Abbott is leading the charge like a true Texan cowboy. Biden administration faces criticism. Hold on to your cowboy hats, folks, because President Biden is catching some heat in the political kitchen, and the main course on the menu is alleged open border policies. It's like a Texas barbecue, where the critics are saying the gates are wide open and we've got a problem. So here's the scoop. Biden is facing some serious criticism, with folks pointing fingers and accusing his administration of having open border vibes. It's not just a gentle nudge, it's more like a full-on, hey, what's going on here? From both sides of the political fence. The accusation is simple but hefty. Critics are claiming that Biden's approach to the border is a little too chill. It's like a backyard party where everyone's invited and there's no bouncer at the gate. They're saying this lax attitude is contributing to the chaos at the border. Now you might be wondering, what's the big deal? Open borders, closed borders, why the fuss? Well, according to the critics, an open door policy is like a welcome sign for anyone and everyone, and that, they argue, is fueling the ongoing border crisis. It's not just about welcoming guests, it's about who's crashing the party and causing a ruckus. It's a bit like a country song, where the lyrics are all about pointing fingers and raising eyebrows. The critics are saying you can't just throw a party and not expect some gate crashers, Mr. President. They're arguing that a more secure border is needed to prevent the chaos that's unfolding. So as the political debate rages on, Biden's administration finds itself in the hot seat, defending its stance on border policies. Is it an open invitation or just a misunderstanding? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. The critics are making some noise, and the border issue is taking center stage in the political rodeo. Grab your popcorn, folks. This show is far from over. Biden deserves an F grade. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is pulling no punches when it comes to grading President Biden's performance on immigration and border security. It's not just a critique, it's a Texan-sized evaluation, and Abbott is giving Biden a solid F. Abbott, with his cowboy hat firmly in place and the Texas wind at his back, is standing tall, saying, Biden, you flunked on immigration policies and border security. It's not just a casual comment, it's a bold statement that's making waves far beyond the Lone Star State. So what's the beef? According to Abbott, most incumbents don't lose elections, they get fired for doing a bad job. And in his eyes, Biden's report card is covered in red ink when it comes to the immigration system. It's not just a passing comment, it's a proclamation that the immigration issue is the primary concern in America right now. Abbott is throwing down the gauntlet, asserting that Biden's performance on immigration is so lackluster that it deserves an F. It's like a Texan saying, we're not just disappointed, we're downright frustrated. Abbott isn't sugarcoating it. He's holding Biden accountable for what he sees as a failure to address a critical issue. In Abbott's view, giving an F isn't just about pointing fingers. It's about calling out what he perceives as a serious problem. He's not mincing words, saying most incumbents don't lose elections. They get fired because they're doing a bad job.
Biden's for a free and open border. Just tear down everything. Let everybody come. No restrictions.
Instead of order, they have chosen for us disorder and chaos.
Do you expect to meet with him personally after this?
We'll see what happens. Here's the deal. He's never called me.
I sent Congress a comprehensive plan on immigration reform. My friends on the other side have done nothing with it.
As the political dust settles, one thing's for sure. Abbott's F grade is more than a critique, it's a Texan-sized wake-up call. It's a statement that immigration and border security aren't just talking points, they're the issues that could define the success or failure of an administration. So whether you agree with Abbott's assessment or not, one thing's clear. The immigration debate is heating up in Texas, and Abbott is leading the charge, giving Biden a grade that's making headlines and stirring the political pot. Grab your boots, folks. This Texan-sized critique is far from the final chapter, in the ongoing saga of immigration and border security. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.